So let's continue now with the login. We still don't have that functionality, and we're going to finish the navigation. So let's continue. Let's create the login first so we can connect everything on the navigation later. So this is similar to what we have in the sign in. So I'm just going to copy some things. First, React and use a state from React. Redirect with router from React Router DOM, Firebase from a configuration, and the Auth reducer. Sorry, the Auth context. Now let's create a constant login that this is going to render the form, the login form, but let's build what we need. So it's going to be constant email and set email, use state, and I'm just going to copy the other one for the password. Now we're going to define the redirect. So let's say route redirect and set route redirect. This is going to be false. And we're going to call again our dispatch or context. Okay, so we can use the dispatch. This is the login function. It's going to be an async function. We need the event, and we're going to say only console.log from sent. Okay, we will plug the login functionality in a second. So let's say that event prevent default. Sorry, event that prevent default. So we have that. Let's I'm just going to copy the redirection. This is the constant redirect. That is going to be the route redirect. And if redirect is true, if this is true, right now it's false, we're going to redirect to the main route. Now let's build the form. This is the exact same thing, return to what we did with the sign in. So I'm just going to copy this. We're going to set the email and password. Whenever we type something on the inputs. So let me add some indentation there. Okay, and finally we export default login. So let's save this. Let's go to the routes here, and let's import that. Import login from components and login. So we need to copy this one and paste it, and let's say login, and the component we're going to use here is the login component. Let's save this and let's check. It's compiling. Okay, so let's go to login. We see this, and we still don't have functionality, so let's just type whatever, and we're going to get this from sent. So let's plug in the functionality so we have the login and we can continue with the navigation. Okay, so we're going to build this here. So we have our functionality inside the Firebase. We have the login. Here it is. So this is what we're going to call. So let's say let response, similar to what we did, or kind of the same to what we did in the sign in. Firebase login, that login, we pass the email and password, and we only get this, so we're going to check if response has some property message. Then we just console.log that response.message, else we redirect, but we can first return dispatch, and this is going to return an object. So type login, and the payload is going to be the user response. We can say response to user here, but we only have response, so let's say response to user also. So that's going to be populated, and let's see if I type whatever inside the login from sent. I didn't save this. Okay, so let's type whatever. Okay, we can get this, or we get this. The password is invalid. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Create account. Well, I want to change this to sign in or login. So let's change this. We should get the user. So this one is login, but we're going to define, let's say, let's console the user so we can see that something is going on. Response.user. So if I do this again, okay, we get this. That is all the information we have. Okay, you can see here the display name that is null and the email that is my email. You can send a verified URL. So you verify the email. Okay, I think I have an example in the channel with Angular. So we're going to keep this one as it is, and so let's go to navigation. That should be it, and we can start building the rest of the navigation. So let's import here Firebase. Okay, we have Firebase and we have our context. So let's add some space in there, and we're going to define some constants. The first one is user state, and set user state is going to be equals to user state constant. The other one is user email, and set user email. Also, this one is going to be user state. We can change this one because this one is going to be null. Okay, this one is going to handle the user, okay, in case the user is logged in, and if not, it's only going to be null, so we can check that easily. Now, constant state and dispatch from or React Red or React use context, sorry, and we pass the context that we are going to use. So let's get the out. Now, inside use effect, we're going to check, but we need another function inside our configuration or Firebase. So let's come back here. So this function, what it's going to do is to check, okay, that the user is persisted, that the user is logged in. So we're going to say async get user state return new promise resolve, and this that auth that is on auth state changed, and we're going to resolve. So this is going to check if the user is actually logged in. So let's come back here so we can check this. This is already done, and we can close also the sign in. The routes, we can leave that open. So let's come back here into our navigation, and we're going to call the function we just created, Firebase that get user state. This one is going to return a promise, and the promise is going to have a user. Okay, so if this user is if this is not null, okay, then we are going to set user state to the user that is responding, and set user email to the user that email, okay, because this is going to respond with the user that is logged in. So we can change the state of the navigation. We need the logout functionality here also. So console logout, not console, constant logout. This is the function. So we're going to call Firebase logout that we already have defined inside our configuration. We're going to define the set user, or we're going to set the user state to be a null because we don't want to show anything else, meaning that if we log out, the user that we have here is not valid, so we are going to set it to null. Props that history that replace login, so we're going to redirect to the login, and we're going to return the dispatch, the type that is a logout, and the payload that we're going to return an empty object. So let's add that, and we still don't have the sign in and login button, so we're going to add that next. So let's say let buttons, and we're going to check if a user state is not equal to null, or state that user. So we're going to have the user inside our state, the state that is being handled inside this context. Okay, so remember that if I go to our reducer, no, sorry, not our reducer, context, this is what we're going to check. That's why we're going to return an empty object, okay, if we are logout. So state that user that has some property user, because what is going to happen is that this is going to be set into the user that has the object that is coming from Firebase. Okay, so that is what is going to happen there. So I'm going to add these quotes, and we can say buttons is going to be equals to, let me just copy this because this is just a reg fragment with some things. Let me just remove this one. I always copy that with the ending, because you can do this, you can just wrap this and have it like that. Okay, so this is going to return a reg fragment in case the user state is not null and we have a user logged in. So we're going to append this inside our navigation in a second, but it's going to be the email and the logout button. That this is when we log out, when we click this logout button, we're going to log out, set the user to null, and replace this with the login. Now else buttons is going to be equal to, let me just copy this. That is the sign in and login links. Okay, so we're going to add this below this thing, is buttons, like that. Let's see if this works. Okay, props is not defined, so let's add props here. So you can see that we have, since we logged in before, okay, we have something, and the logout is going to say we cannot replace, okay, because I missed something. Remember that we added the with router, so in order to use the replace, we're going to say with router and we wrap our component. So just like that. Let's log in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Login. Okay, we get the user. So login line 20. This is only responding with the login that we have, with the user that we have. Let's check that. Line 20 is said, okay, so we're only responding with this user. But let's see if I can get the, where can I place this? We have the state and we're using the state here. So if I say this console.log state, let's see if I can get that here on line 24 on the navigation. Okay, responding with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you can see now, because we need to actually redo that. Okay, you can see that on nav.js line 24 we have this user, okay, that now has this queue that is the user. Okay, so when we log out, this is going to be replaced with something like this. Okay, that is our initial state, is matching our initial state. So we have this one. Okay, I'm only going to add the routing there. So let's go to the login, and I think I don't have that on the sign in. So let me check. Sign in. No, I don't have the. Okay, so let me just come back to the, okay, login. Say this, because if I say this, that is going to be a set route redirect to true. You're going to see something that is going to say unreachable code because we are returning, so we need to actually move this above. Okay, let's just console this, comment this out, except for the message, and we're going to copy the redirect into our sign in. and we also need to define the redirect. And we are going to copy also this one, so we can save this and we can set this and save it. So redirect is not defined on line 26. Sign in, redirect is not defined. Okay, route redirect, set route redirect. Oh, because I didn't add. I think, okay, here we are not using with router because we're redirecting just like that. We only use with router when we use the replace. So let's add this into sign in. Okay, so we should get that. So if I log in again, not well, I have this one also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Login, and we get redirected. Okay, with the email of the user, and we can log out and we get redirected. So just to finish this, okay, we don't need the with router here because we are actually setting the route, not replacing it. Let me also remove this. So you can see that we are it's inside the navigation. We can handle the state. So this state is coming from our context, okay? And this is what we are getting, the initial state. So our routing, login, logout, and sign in functionality is done. Let me just console log. Comment this, and now we can focus. Since we have this, we still don't have any, we are not restricting access to the routes. We're going to do that later, so we can finish adding the posts and fetching them, and not being, well, we can log in, we can keep this as login because it's going to handle the user, it's going to persist the user. But just to make it easy, we're going to add the restriction later in another video, so we can continue just with the development of the main functionality. So I'm going to stop the video here and continue in the next one.